As a chef, I'm always asked, what's your speciality? And I've been cooking for 25 years now, so I really can't say that it's one particular dish. But what I'm known for is cooking chicken so it is perfect. Juicy, tender, full of flavour. And when you keep that juice in, you're obviously going to have that more flavour. And now I'm going to show you the secret so you can do it as well. You've got to cook with confidence on this one. Don't worry if you think it's going to be raw. If it is undercooked, you can just put it in again for another minute or two and you will be good. So the first thing we need to do is preheat the oven. So let's go at 170. And you don't need to blast it really quick. You want it to cook at a nice even temperature, so it's just going to get there. You don't want to blast it with too much heat, because what will happen is that outside is going to cook. So you could even go down to 160 if you wanted. You can go even lower, but obviously it's going to take much longer. The lower you go as a temperature, the less time you need to rest it, but the longer it's going to take to cook. So 170, 180, you'll be good. A nice rest afterwards and you're just going to get really, really juicy chicken. So the oven is on. Pink salt, it can be any salt, but you want it to be fine. And then we're just going to season these breasts from a height. So by seasoning it from a height, you're going to get even distribution over the chicken breast. So whether it's a steak, a piece of fish, whatever it is, you want to do it the same way. Always from a height, and then afterwards, whatever is left on the plate, you can just mix that around. You can even turn it over and season the underside, but just scrape up anything that's left on the plate. So you've got all of that salt nicely covering the chicken breast. So we've just broken these down. So they've been out of the fridge about half an hour, so they're not completely cold. So you don't really want to cook from the fridge temperature. It doesn't matter too much as long as you give it a good bit of resting time afterwards, just to help it go and cook that little bit extra through, because right in the middle is going to take a much longer to cook, and then what happens is that outside starts to overcook, so then you need to rest it a bit more if you're cooking straight from the fridge. So it is better if you can give it some time out of the fridge, but it isn't essential. So once the oven's up to heat, I'm just going to wash my hands. So I've just washed my hands and the oven is coming up to temperature, so I'm just going to put my pan on a high heat. And now what we're going to do is, with this pan, you can see that it has a metal handle, so that means it can go straight into the oven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook skin side down, and then I'm going to go straight into the oven. But if you don't have one of these pans, all you do is you cook it skin side down, get a nice colour on it, and then you transfer it to the tray with the skin up, and you put it into the oven. So it's exactly the same, only if it goes onto a cold tray, then you've got to add a minute, minute and a half, because what's going to happen when I'm cooking now is I'm going to go in skin side down, we're going to get the skin golden, and then we're going to go into the oven. But it's still going to be cooking from the pan, and it's going to have the heat from the oven on top. So if you put it straight onto a tray, what will happen is you're just going to get that heat from the top until the temperature of the tray comes up. So that will add an extra minute, minute and a half to 2 minutes, depending on the chicken breast size, to the cook. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't got one of these pans, then either go and get one, because they're really easy and it's one less thing to wash. Then you're not having to wash a pan and then a tray, you're just going to wash the one thing. So it saves you a bit of time, and they're just really, really useful to be able to cook in this way. So oil in. You can see that oil is hot just by the way it's going to flow around the pan. And then we want that nice sizzle when we go in. So looking at these chicken breasts, these are pretty big. Just the two of them are going to take up all of the space. So you want a good bit of heat in there, because when these go in, the temperature of the pan is going to drop. So always skin side down, a nice sizzle. And then we can just get rid of that plate. And then once it goes into the pan and you've got a good bit of heat in there, I just like to knock it down. I don't want to rush this process, because what will happen when you rush it is you're going to get parts of it that haven't connected fully to the pan, and they will not cook as even as other parts. So by reducing the temperature, it's just going to slow the process down, and that way you're going to get a more even, crispy skin. So if you're not worried about having a crispy skin, then just get them in and you can pretty much just go straight into the oven, because if you're going to remove that afterwards, then there's no point wasting the time in making it really crispy. But if you've ever had this really, really crispy skin, then it is a good thing. So give it a go once. If you don't like it, then fair enough, but just give it a go. It adds loads more flavour, especially with that salt on there. So we're just going to take a look at these, and we can see it is starting to colour, but not got that much on. So we're just going to give them that bit of time. So with the whole process of cooking it slowly and resting it, the other thing that we're going to look for later is this is the fillet. And this is super, super important when it comes to cooking the chicken this way, because that one bit of the fillet there is actually going to tell you when the chicken breast is cooked. Because cooking in this way, where the chicken is skin side down in the pan and the heat is from the oven is exposing the top, this part of the chicken breast is pretty much the center point as far as the cooking process goes, because you've got excessive heat on the bottom and then oven heat from the top. So when we fold this back later, inside the chicken fillet, you're going to see it's going to be slightly opaque. And when it's slightly opaque and it's borderline looking like it's not cooked, at that point you want to take it out and leave it to rest, and then the chicken breast is going to carry on cooking. And then when it comes to slicing, it's just going to be super, super juicy. So this fillet is super important when it comes to cooking in this method. If you don't have that on there, then you're just going to have to do it by touch. And basically, by touching it, the easiest way that I can explain it is if you were cooking a steak, like a fillet steak or a Scotch fillet, entrecote, sirloin, whatever steak it is, how to do it is we have different points. So we can go open palm, we can say rare, medium, medium well, and well done. And as you work through your fingers, you will feel that this part of your hand will change in its firmness, and that is as close to the points that you're going to find when you're cooking your meat. So obviously when we're cooking a chicken breast in the pan, we want to get it to about that medium well point, and then when we're resting it, it's going to carry on cooking and then hit that well done. So the well done is a perfect well done. We're not talking about annihilating it and making it very, very well done. So these are looking nice and golden, and they've got a good bit of colour on now. So they aren't far off. So I'm just going to give them another 30 seconds here and then transfer straight in to the oven. So my oven should be up to temperature, and a chicken breast this size, we should be looking at about 14 minutes in the oven. So if you were just going to lay them onto a tray and put them in the oven, you'll probably be about 17 minutes without any cooking in the pan at 180. So with these, I would say, and the bone on, also around that joint there is going to take a little bit more cooking. We're looking at about 14 minutes. So that will do on the colour front. Beautiful golden colour. And then into the oven, and I will check back in 14 minutes. Hey Siri, set the timer for 14 minutes. Okay, so my 14 minutes is just about to come up. So obviously if your chicken breasts are smaller than this, they will be cooking much, much quicker. So if we can pull back the fillet and we can see the cook. So you can see it's glistening there. and it's quite firm to the touch. And then the other one looks slightly less cooked, so slightly pink. So you can see that. So we can see that that is slightly undercooked, but I'm going to leave them rest in this pan, so they're going to continue on cooking. We've got all that heat in the pan. So all I'm going to do is turn them over, because if we were to leave them skin side down in the pan, what will happen as it rests and it relaxes, juice is going to come out, and then it's going to be sitting, the crispy skin is going to be sitting in that juice, which is going to create steam, make it go soggy again. So I'm just turning them over. We've got a beautiful golden brown colour. You can hear it's nice and crispy. The fillet has come off, which is fine. And then we're just going to leave them rest for 3 to 4 minutes. That's going to allow the juices to go back to where they originated. It's going to even those juices out, and that leveling out of the juices is then just going to help it cook through. So 3 or 4 minutes to rest. It's still got enough heat in. It won't need to go back through the oven with such a short rest, and then we can slice it. Okay, so my chicken has had its time to rest, so I'm just going to slice it now. That was probably about 3.5 minutes. So we can just place that onto the board and then make some nice slices. You can just hear how crispy that skin is as you go through. Beautiful. And then you can see there, like, look, it's shimmering. It's so juicy that you can actually see the juice running down those slices. So that is, look, you can see it. See? So that is super juicy chicken, flat, packed with flavour, and just look at the colour of it. So looks fantastic. So beautiful colour, beautiful flavour, and then you can just slice the other one. It's exactly the same. You can almost squeeze it and you're going to see the juice coming. Like, look at that, that's how juicy it is. Ridiculous. So that is a perfect cook, insanely juicy, packed with flavour with all that juice in there. So give it a go. Got any problems, make sure that you fill out the Improve the course. If there was anything that was unclear, make sure you fill that out, because we really need you to nail this one, because it really is going to change your cooking forever. You're always going to have great tasting non-dry meals if you can nail this, and then when it comes to cooking your steaks, you're just going to be ahead of the curve, because you're going to know what to look for, because it's exactly the same process. So give it a go, let me know how it goes. Go hit me up on Instagram and tag me in all your cooking recipes, because I want to see them, want to see that perfect cook, because it really is for me exciting. And I will see you in the next video.